any woman who is serious about her life, like a single woman who is serious about her life, always need to have like a checklist, things that they're checking in a partner before they decide to commit. And when I say checklist, I'm not talking about like superficial things like, oh, it has to be tall, or it has to have this, or it has to have that, like those very, very superficial things. But as a person, you always need to have like some sort of like checklist for yourself before you decide to commit into marriage. It could just be like a checklist for a relationship which may lead to marriage, and I'm here to talk about my own checklist, so that helps you like think about what your checklist should look like. Okay. So when I'm talking about checklist, it's a very deep and important topic for me. Like, I always say this to everybody, like my friends who like are not married, and I always say this to everyone who cares to hear, because I feel like that's something that really, really helped me. Like, really, really helped me know what I really want. Like, you could have that checklist on your paper, you can have it on your head, you can have it written down somewhere, but everybody needs to have a checklist on what they want from somebody. I'm going to tell you guys what mine was, okay? I've never, even my husband doesn't even know like what my checklist is, but I'm happy to really share it online because I just feel like it's going to help somebody. And when I shared this, I'm not saying you have to adopt to mine, because it could differ for you. You're different, I'm different, but you have to have something that you know that you truly want. So if it's your first time seeing my face here, hi, my name is Grace, and I'm a 27-year-old who likes to talk about, and I want to just talk about like life events, lessons that I've learned, experiences, things that it taught me, so it can just help somebody out there. And just to put it in summary, I'll say like your sister on YouTube, okay? Your YouTube sister. So that's where I am, okay? So now let's just dive right into the reason why you've clicked to watch this video. So first things first, I'm going to start with mine, like I said. So first thing on the checklist for me is that he knows God. Guys, if you actually want to just get married to a man who doesn't know God, see, marriage will test you. Like, it will test you. Like, just recently, my husband and I were like trying to acquire like a second property. I'm not trying to go into like much details about that, but like the devil really hit up. Like, so many events happened, okay? And I was just asking myself, if I wasn't with someone who truly knew God, how were we going to actually navigate that phase together, and even so many phases that would actually come. So knowing God was something like really important for me. And when I say knowing God, it's not like you go to church and that's enough. Knowing God is like knowing him for who he is. You have a relationship with God, you're prayerful, all of those things. You really need your partner to have it. And it's just not specific to just like men. Women as well, you also need to be prayerful yourself. You need to know God, okay? Because you can't even do marriage without God. Like, so that one, number one for me. So it was a non-negotiable for me. And I'm Christian as well, so of course it had to be Christian. So if you're Muslim, if you're this or that, maybe that would work for you as well, but particularly he had to be a Christian. I wasn't going to settle down for anyone who wasn't a Christian, okay? And then number two, remember I said not superficial things, but still things that are important and deep. So now for me it's occupation. And when I say occupation, I don't mean like, oh, he has to be rich, he has to be a business guy, he has to be like, you know, an astronaut, he has to be like one of those like crazy, really nice occupation. That was not it for me. Rather, it was a case where I asked myself, like, what were those occupations that I don't want my partner to have? Like, I wouldn't want him to be. Again, everybody, what works for them, what they want. But for me, I wasn't going to be with somebody who was like into entertainment. That was like a very personal thing for me, like very, very personal. But like, I did not want someone who was like a what's it called now, like a hype man in a club or a club owner. Don't get me wrong, there's really nothing about that, but you have to bear in mind that whatever occupation your partner has will sort of like affect your relationship as well. So an example would be like if you're dating someone who has a club, or you're married to someone who has a club, they're going to be out all night and that's their bread. Are you going to tell them not to go out to make money for you? Of course, that's very dumb. So occupation is really important for me. Like, I need to be sure that when I need you at home, you're at home. I understand that you need to make bread as, a club owner, for an example, but I'm not that kind of person. Like, I can't deal with that. So I just knew that I had to stay away from people like that. So once that you come to me for a relationship and you're in that line of business, it was an automatic no for me, because I already knew what I wanted. I knew that, again, there's nothing wrong with your job, but it wouldn't just suit me. Does that make sense? Perfect. So 3 would be, he had to be a provider. And when I say provider, I don't mean like he had to be the only one providing money and all of that. That's not what I mean. So when I mean provider, I mean like someone who has that instilled in them, that they're the head of the family and I am the neck of the family. So what do I mean by that? You strive to make sure that I'm good. If I do have kids, or we have kids together, you're that kind of person that it's in your nature to want to care, to want to provide. Like, you're not just like very laid back. That, not at all. Like, that was not something I was going for. I needed someone who like was a provider, who had that aura in them. Like, I don't know how to put it, like, that courage. You could see that they know what they want. They know that they are providers. They know that they are leaders. They walk like leaders. They talk like leaders. You get the gist, okay? If you know, you know. So provider was like providing mindset, if I'm going to put it that way. Provider mindset was something that I was not going to negotiate with any man, because damn, I'm going to carry your kids, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to mother. Nah, that's a lot of work. So you need to have someone who is always there and is always looking to protect you, always looking to make sure you have the best and everything is going well from you. I'm not saying that you as a woman shouldn't work and shouldn't do your own thing, but a provider, even if you work or you don't work, they would always have you. And that's something that I wasn't going to negotiate with a man. Okay, now to number 4. I wasn't going to have like a mommy's boy, or someone who like is being controlled by their family as a whole. It doesn't have to be the mom, but like someone who doesn't stand up for himself, who doesn't know who he is, and who like you can just flip here and there. And people always say that, how would you know that? See, when you're cutting someone, you can just tell by like how they do things, how they respond to things, how they like take care of things. So I was not going to have someone who was always pushed by their family. I really wanted someone who is on his own, on his own, who knows what they want, who knows when to tell that person to keep quiet and knows when to tell you to speak, like who knows how to just be a person on his own. We hear a lot of people like, they've got married to people who are like mama's boy, and then it's like the mom is always in their marriage, their sisters are always in their marriage. Like, I wasn't going to have that. If I did know, I don't have a problem with you being extremely close with your siblings and your mom and your dad, like all of that. No, that's not the point. But I'm just saying that you were not going to not have the mind of your own. It's like everything your mom says, your sister says you want to do, you're not even trying to communicate with me. So if I do notice that trace, if I notice that you have a flinch of that in you, I was gonna run. Like, the relationship has ended. I'm not even gonna do it again, because there's no point. Like, there's literally no point, because I knew I was not gonna end up with you. Okay, so that's number 4 for me. And then number 5 would be about culture. I'm gonna say this like as nicely as I can, and I don't really want anyone to like just misunderstand what I'm saying. But for me, culture is very important, and where you're from is also really important for me. So I am Igbo, Nigerian, and I truly wanted to marry somebody who was also Igbo and Nigerian. Again, not saying that you can't find love in other parts of the country or other cultures, but like, I just feel like genuinely that's what I wanted. I wanted someone who was from exactly where I was from and had the same cultural background like me, because I do know that with other people, the marriage can always work with other cultures, but you have learnings. You have to put in that effort. You have to learn. And I just know myself. I don't think I'm that kind of person. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not saying I can't shift for things, but I just, just tell yourself the truth. And that was my case here. I just knew that I wanted someone who understood the culture, the Igbo culture, who was deep rooted into it, and not in a bad way, but like just knows how things are done overall. And I just didn't want that hassle of having to try to learn someone's new culture, their language, all of that. So this one was quite a bit more personal to me, and I wouldn't even say I encourage it for everyone. No, I feel like you can diversify. I mean, you can find love anywhere and it would work, but again, it was just really personal. I just needed someone from where I was and who has my cultural background. Okay. And then the next one for me was like someone who was sort of like above me, okay? And when I say above me, it's like just in life as a whole, like you're sort of like ahead of me. So you get to teach me things as we progress. So I wasn't gonna be with someone who was like beneath me. And e.g., when I mean beneath me, I'm not better than anybody. I don't think anybody's better than anybody, but everybody is at different stages of their life. So when I mean what I'm saying, I just mean that you are like ahead of me where you are in life, and not like, or even be the same place sort of, but not like lower than where I am. Okay, so an example, like before I got married, had my own apartment, my car, had a good job, doing my own thing, thinking of businesses, had a small business, like trying to just see how I could improve my life. And I wasn't going to have somebody who like just graduated from school and you probably don't have a job and life is just starting for you. Do you get what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that phase of life because everyone did come out of that. But just personally, I wasn't going to go back there all in the name of marriage. No, I'm not going to go back there. It's either you're like here or you're here. But if I'm going to be honest, you had to be here. Like you had to have known better, is better, and like, so you can just teach me and I'm, working up with you together, that kind of stuff. So I wasn't going to just have someone like beneath. I don't like the word beneath, but you do get the gist, okay? And then finally, I would say someone who is secure in themselves. So someone who, like, I don't perceive you trying to always bring women down. You're happy to see me blossom in whatever career path that I chose. You're not someone who wanted like a stay-at-home mom. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with stay-at-home moms. I may even become a stay-at-home mom if the need arises. I'm not even like closed out on that. But what I mean is, like, as we get married, that's the first thing you're telling me, like, oh, don't pursue anything, just stay at home, don't do this, don't do that. Like, no, just help me, let it be my choice. If that comes to that part where we need help, childcare, all of that, and I had to take that, I'm happy to do that. But it's not like you're so insecure that when I blossom, when I'm doing things greatly, it starts to affect you and our marriage. And again, you can always tell when you're courting someone, when you're dating someone, all these characteristics, you can actually see it and know if this person is going to clap for you when you're doing really well, or are they going to try to dim your light. So that was really important, because I do believe that marriage is there for companionship, but God wants you to still keep your purpose. The reason why he brought you into the world is not just to be a married woman, okay? He brought you into the world for your own purpose. So you need a partner, he's going to help you and support you to achieve that as well. So here are my checklists. So these are the things that were non-negotiable for me when choosing a partner. And honestly, like, even if you had like 9, or say you had like 5 out of this 7 or so that I mentioned, I wasn't gonna answer you. Like, you had to have it all, because I don't think what I just said now is too much for anybody to have. And bear in mind, like, with all these things that I just said to you, I try to become them myself. So I was also working to be all these things that I've mentioned and not trying to look for these things and not be it. So I was also started working on myself like years ahead, even before marriage came knocking. So it just really helps you, so that when you're putting all these things into place, you are that person and not demanding for something that you can't even give to somebody. Okay, so this is to encourage every single woman out there, just anybody, man, woman, because this is for everybody. Try to reflect, sit down, talk to yourself, ask yourself, like, what do I really want out of life? Like, what do I really want out of marriage? What do I really want? And then write down what you really want. And when you see that person, there is someone out there who will take everything. I know sometimes people fear, or women in general, it's just a case of age is not on my side, this, that. If I'm going to be honest with you, I did want to get married at 28 and I eventually did at 25. So it just happens at any time. The reason, just focus on yourself. Just focus on yourself and it would happen, and just know what you want. These things are very key, and then that person is going to keep knocking, okay? You are a spec and you have to act like one. Okay, hope that helped someone today. And if this has helped you and you've come to this part of the video, please don't forget to give my page a subscribe. Hit the subscribe button, a like, comment, tell me like other things you'd like me to share with. I do have loads of experiences I'm going to share, and I'll see you in my next video. Okay, bye.